of June, but here we are at special session. So I just want to start off with a few comments about today. We are here today not because we agree with this budget. I want to be very clear with the public, with folks out there. It's not because Republicans agree with the budget that is on the floor today. Minnesotans deserve much, much better. Minnesotans, they deserve a full day of debate. They deserve to look at the bills and see what's in them. And we haven't seen that much over this last couple of weeks as they've been in their conference committees and in their committees themselves. We're trying to get that out on the floor, and today you're going to see that. We're talking about the bills themselves, making sure that Minnesotans know what is in the bills and what's coming at them from this Democrat agenda today in the Minnesota Senate. And so, you know, we really, if we had control of these bills, they'd look a lot different. We wouldn't be seeing $770 million going to state government again. More growth in state government at the cost of our seniors, both the nursing facilities and also tax increases on them as well too. And that was also on the backs of special education children. And so there are cuts to them as well. And yet our state government is growing by $770 million. It's a shame. And so today what we're doing is making sure that we take the time. We're not wasting taxpayer dollars by dragging this out for 3 days. What we're doing is making sure that we're getting to the point, showing what's wrong with this budget. We want to prioritize Minnesotans, but Democrats are only prioritizing state government. So we've got a number of things that we're going to be working on today. Some of the things that we are very disappointed about is government accountability. The OIG bill, which was very bipartisan, came out of the Senate and passed that. We were hoping to see that today. And that's not going to be included on that. And there's been a number of provisions that we want to make sure that happen, but yet they weren't included. And so we're going to be talking a lot about that. With that, I think I'll just turn it over. I know there are a few questions out there, so we'll just turn it over to you.
How long are you going to be here?
What's that?
At the current pace, how long are you going to be here, do you think?
Well, at the Senate pace, we'll be here until about 5:36. At the House pace, we might see you at the end of the week. I'm not sure yet. So, but we're doing a good clip, making sure that we're getting through that, making sure that we're up on TV, that folks at home can see what's going on here at the Senate.
What about what you got out of it last time your caucus held out? You're kind of the only caucus in the minority here. You got nursing homes last time. Bonding, is that your big victory, and was that worth it?
Now, what we're trying to do is make sure that we are putting Minnesotans first in a number of ways. And so there were a few things that we gained by agreeing to a bonding bill and by suspending the rules. But I'll just remind you, Mary, that we are not party to the budget bills. And what you're seeing today is that we're continuing to vote against those, most of the members of the Senate Republican caucus, for two reasons. Number one, it's not addressing the needs of Minnesotans. And number two, the process was in the dark the whole time. And so we're making sure that we're exposing that, and that's a big deal for us.
But you guys are going to put up the votes for the undocumented immigrant bill, aren't you?
Yeah, that's one that Minnesotans, when you look at the polling on that, it is very, very strong. The Minnesotans feel that we should be putting seniors first, we should be putting our schools first, we should be putting our counties and towns and businesses first. With this undocumented, we're taking money away from those needs and those priorities here in this state. So we are excited to make sure that we reprioritize the dollars that are spent towards those in this state first.
You mentioned the special education. When you get that bill from the House, what do you make of that? And it's got a lot of cuts. It calls for a commission on special education cuts, has transportation reimbursements too. What do you make of that?
Yeah, that's one that we're going to really spend some time in today on the floor as well too, getting into the details of that and making sure people know what's coming there. But those cuts are very worrisome for our caucus and for our communities that we represent. So we're going to be addressing those things as well.
You didn't sign the first budget agreement, but you signed the special session agreement. What changed in that period? What did you gain in order to earn your signature?
Sure, and I want to make sure that we bifurcate the two of those. So we did not agree to any of the budget bills. We have still not been asked for votes on budget bills, and we intend not to vote on most of those budget bills. It's a 34 vote model here at the Senate. They have to carry those and make sure they put up the votes first. Because we weren't included in that. And so we are not obligated to vote for those. What I did sign was regarding special session, making sure that our members, when we got in there, we had a bonding bill that they were happy with. And then also, we agreed to quicken up the pace of this by suspending the rules. And that was the whole purpose of that, is so that we could get here, not waste the taxpayer dollars, and get through those bills on the floor today. And so that's all that we agreed to. It wasn't the budget bills themselves.
And bonding's for sure, those votes have been counted, no issues there.
Well, yeah, I mean, we intend to pass a bonding bill off the floor today.
Do you think that your caucus will then vote no on some of these budget bills if they don't have to vote yes on them? I mean, do you
Yeah,
think
right.
any of these bills are in jeopardy of not passing today?
I mean, you saw on the environment bill where there was a struggle to get that over the finish line because, there were some real concerns on both sides of the aisle on that one. Ultimately, that one did pass. But what you're gonna see is Democrats having to really put up those 34 votes first before we move forward.
Can you just talk big picture on some reflections on kind of how we got here in such a closely divided legislature and just some insights on like what do you think was the linchpin to actually getting to today, even though you all don't agree with everything that's obviously being passed today?
Yeah, and so I think the reason why we're sitting here on June 9th instead of finishing up on May 19th is a number of different issues. First of all, the first 23 days were spent in confusion over at the House, which pushed back a lot of the work. And so then we start trying to organize and be part of that, get that rolling. That really hindered what we did. And then after special session, or after session ended, then the governor is out doing campaigning from South Carolina to California to Oregon, which, and saying some things that are really detrimental to relationships. It's hard to sit in the same room and discuss a budget or a deal when the guy across the table from you is just saying we got to bully Republicans, we got to get more mean, and calling other names. So, there were a number of missteps that I think really hindered the process, and we should have been done a long time ago.
When you say 770 million in government growth, can you just clarify that number, where that?
Yeah, so
what's in there?
the operating adjustments for a lot of state agencies and things like that, when you start adding that up, it gets to be huge numbers. Even though as a percentage-wise, it looks small, but you start adding that up and you compare that to the cuts that are made to nursing homes and to education and things like that, and the cost shifts to our businesses and to our communities and counties. I mean, this clearly is prioritizing state government over our communities and the needs that we have.
So the overall two-year budget is down from the previous 2 years, but just because of all that one-time money in the last one, right?
Right, that accounted for a lot of it. We're still facing a deficit in the out years. That's gonna be a huge concern for us, is that, it was a $6 billion projection in the out years. Now that's been reduced, but we're still looking at something like a $3 billion deficit in the out years. And so that wasn't addressed, and that's gonna be a concern to Minnesotans going forward.
Republicans in the House, particularly when, the trifecta was broken up, really wanted to make it their mission to repeal or walk back or tweak some of the DFL trifecta's, marquee achievements in the last 2 years. Obviously, you guys couldn't do that on your own being in the minority, but, it seems like the trifecta's agenda is largely intact. Is that your reflection on this? And do you think the Republicans in the House could have fought for more of that shared goal?
Yeah, the Republicans in the House did a great job. So Speaker Dameth and her team did a wonderful job with fighting against the governor and the House, their counterparts in the Senate. We weren't party to that agreement, but, they got things to cut taxes or reduce the amount of taxes that they wanted to raise. Democrats wanted to raise this last session. And then also, with the ONDOC, the illegal alien healthcare issue, they were able to secure something that was balanced, but I think most Minnesotans can get behind on that as well too. So they did a nice job with the negotiations, but again, the priority for Democrats is always how do we protect government, state government, the mandates, the bureaucracy. And we are constantly fighting to improve the systems, to improve the bureaucracies, to do those things, to make sure they're addressing Minnesotans' needs. So there were things within earned safe and sick time and paid family medical leave and other things that we really wanted to get to the meat of it that wouldn't eliminate those programs, but make them so they were effective and usable by employees and employers but those were rejected for the most part out of hand.
On that note, we heard this morning from Posse Caucus members, so I'm interested in hearing your response. They
Sure.
said that things like changes to ESST, paid family and medical leave, even non-compete clauses, those were all things that were offered up in exchange for allowing undocumented immigrants to stay on Minnesota Care. Was that a worthwhile trade-off? Is that an accurate framing of things in your eyes?
I think it's a great framing of it. So here we have Democrats that are willing to cut the benefits to Minnesotans, that they've been trying to establish this program for benefits for illegal aliens in the state of Minnesota. This shows you how mixed up their priorities are. Great example of that. Right there is what you're pointing at. We got to make sure that we're doing things that are effective for Minnesotans and Minnesota taxpayers and for our employees and employers across the state. For them to offer up this whole package, that was kind of a last resort. I don't get it. I don't understand where their priorities are if it's not focusing on the people in the state of Minnesota.
The House is well over 3 hours in their debate on that issue. Once it gets to the Senate, do you anticipate a lengthy debate in the Senate as well?
Hopefully they've used up all the words on it and we can just pass it through. But I anticipate that will be one of those bills that will take some time to work through on that and discuss the issues on that. I think for that bill, probably more on the Democrat side than our side in discussing that.
Can you recap specifically what bills you are unhappy with?
Oh, I mean, just look down the budget bills. Go over the budget bills. Energy, let's talk about energy. There were some real opportunities to do things that would save money for Minnesotans. You know, it's not just the energy bill that you get in the mail, it's also the cost for businesses to operate. And those costs are passed down to Minnesota consumers. Our schools use a lot of energy. Our institutions across the state use that. So for an opportunity to actually cut costs has a huge impact on the state, and yet Democrats refuse to do it for different reasons. So energy is a big one that we could have done. You know, there was a great deal of others in HHS, Human Services, and other bills that we'll be seeing and we'll be talking about throughout the day. But again, you know, just really disappointing on what we could have done, the options, the opportunities to invest in this state, and they weren't.
You're so disappointed with
The agreement that you signed on Friday said that you would limit today's work to those 14 pre-negotiated bills, but you know, members of your own caucus have already introduced a bill to bar transgender women and girls from female sports, and then Democrats in the House have introduced a resolution to fully fund Medicaid.
Sure.
How much do you think at least your caucus would engage in some of these outside?
So we've agreed, thanks Mary, so we've agreed to bring up these 15 bills now that will be coming our way. And so I don't see those other bills being pulled up and part of the agenda today.
Do you anticipate voting, like considering voting yes on any amendments to bills?
As far as the agreement, I am not allowed to support any additional amendments that come on. That's not saying they can't if they have a large amount of people that are on that, but I am obligated to not be part of those.
This is being described as the first special session. Do you anticipate another one when federal funding cuts hit?
Let's focus on this one. This is all I'm looking at. If something happens, maybe, but the reality is that's all hypotheticals right now. They're still working through those bills in Congress, and so we've got a budget in front of us that we have to take care of. We're already late. We're already late on that budget, so let's get the job done and move on.
Can you talk about why, if this budget is so disappointing, you agreed to put up the votes to suspend the rules?
So we could sit here for 3 days and use up taxpayer dollars through per diem and all that stuff. It wouldn't change the outcome of the bills themselves. So let's start. We'll go through the bills. We'll talk about them. We'll get a good opportunity to vet them. We've had some amendments that have been put up to talk about some ideas that we had that were pretty important for our members. And so for us, there wasn't a lot of gain in suspending the rules, or in not suspending the rules. Plus, you know, we were able to help work on the bonding bill with that as well too. So for us, it was a very good deal to do that, and so we're going to move forward and work on those bills.
How does the session stack up for your caucus in the 2026 campaign cycle?
Well, we're ready, we're focused on getting this budget done, but we want to make sure that we're prioritizing Minnesotans' needs. And so if Minnesotans see that, and they're like, they value the same things we do. We value a government that can be held accountable. We value a government that can cut costs and make sure that our lives in this state are affordable, that the mandates are lowered so that businesses want to be here and thrive in this state. Those are the things that we are passionate about. And we are going to be fighting for those every single day that we are here. And so if Minnesotans agree with those, and I think they do, then we're going to be very, very well set up in 26 to take back the majority.
These bills were negotiated in working groups mostly instead of conference committees. Do you think that kind of sets a precedent going forward, that it might be easier to complete bills kind of in private closed-door working groups?
Well, I sure hope not. So we are obligated to do conference committees during the session, and I hope we have more open, transparent conference committees during the session, and we finish on time.
Got time for one more, otherwise we're gonna have to copy.
Are you just waiting for the bill to finish in the House? Will that be the first thing up in the Senate? Where does bonding, like, do you have a good sense of order of events?
Yeah, and typically bonding will be closer to the end. This House File 1 with the legal health care bill, that will be the next one that will be coming over. We've completed all the Senate files, and so now we're just gonna be working down the House file list, and that is number 1. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you coming down here.